Before photography, before Instagram, there was Turner, who transformed the everyday into the epic, an artist obsessed with light, chasing storms, sunsets, reflections and fire, capturing what no one else could see. He painted the River Thames not just as water, but as emotion. 200 years later, we're retracing his steps, standing where he stood. This is the Thames through Turner's eyes.
I'm stood in the exact spot that Turner stood in over 200 years ago to capture one of his most famous views of the Thames. When Turner painted this wonderful oil, Greenwich was still separate from London, a suburb, if you will, of the city. However, from this vantage point, we can look down and see what Turner saw at that time.
From this view, Turner could look upriver towards London. And in this fantastic painting, Turner is showing us how London looked at the turn of the 19th century. A centre of a vast global empire, an industrial metropolis. We can see that Turner has captured a cloud of pollution hanging over the horizon, produced by the many industrial sites that were throughout this city. And above the pollution is the Dome of St. Paul's, at this time the tallest building in London, the tallest building in Britain.
But Turner isn't just giving us a negative view of the city. He is asking us to think about the effects of this growth.
In the foreground of the painting, we see a group of deer. Turner is asking us to think about the tensions between the rapid growth of London and the more rural, quieter aspects of the countryside. People living in the city would have felt this tension very keenly and known that the city was growing, swallowing up farmland far and wide. And what links the background and the foreground of this painting? The River Thames, a silver thread connecting the rural past and the urban future.
As a Londoner, Turner drew great inspiration from the rapid industrialisation, the rapid change that he saw. And these are themes that he returned to constantly in his depictions of the river.
Turner's obsession with the Thames was there from his first exhibited painting of the river at the end of the 18th century. In this nighttime scene, a bright moon hangs over the city, casting a silver thread of light across the water. The river is quiet and empty. There is a feeling of stillness. Turner achieves this through his fantastic play of light and darkness. This was an extremely ambitious painting for the young artist and shows his interest in the effects of light. How did Turner achieve this magnificent water and light effect? Turner had to get as close to the river as he could, turning what was already many years of experience of being beside the Thames into these wonderful works of art. We can see this in the variety of watercolours that he produced along the banks of the Thames. Very unusually for Turner, he would paint these in the open air, a technique later known as en plein air. This allowed him to capture his love of the water intensely, replicating the experience of seeing it. These watercolours were never intended to be shown to the public. They were private studies, possibly made with the intention of being worked up into more finished oil paintings. They have an immediate freshness and a vibrancy, a life of their own. You can see the rapid brushstrokes to capture the light on the water. People fishing and boating. And in one wonderful instance, a rainbow stretching across the water. Turner is showing an idyllic, rural side of the Thames.
Here, on Richmond Hill, Turner returned repeatedly to this epic view. In his time, it was deemed to be the most beautiful view in Britain, and Turner included it
in some of his most iconic paintings. Turner painted this famous view of the Thames in two remarkable paintings. The first depicts a celebration of the Prince Regent's birthday. It's a large and grand painting and an attempt by Turner to gain royal patronage from the Prince Regent. In this, he was unsuccessful. However, the scene he has depicted remains a stunning example of how Turner can create a grand and elegant scene that incorporates the Thames. The second is infused with classical myth. We can see dancing nymphs and an Aeolian harp named after the Greek god Aeolus. These inclusions show Turner's love of epic poems such as the Iliad and the Odyssey, which he would read whilst travelling up and down the river. In Turner's mind, these epic poems and the beauty of the Thames began to merge.
So Turner treats the river like a character, weaving it into the story in his paintings. But one real-life event would exceed the drama of any of his previous paintings.
On the evening of the 16th October 1834, the Houses of Parliament were set ablaze by a rogue chimney fire. The event drew a crowd of thousands.
Turner rushed to this spot to see the devastating fire with his own eyes. The heat and the light were immense, and he captures this in two wonderful paintings.
In the first painting, we are right next to the action. We can see Westminster Bridge seeming to collapse into the fire, drawing us into the devastation. The light of the blaze is reflected across the water, turning it orange. In the foreground, the spectators press forward to get a better view. In the second painting, we are further downriver. The fire not only lights up the water, but now reaches into the sky itself. Once again, we see spectators on the river taking part in the spectacle. The Thames has become like a scene from classical antiquity. He has turned this real event in London into a scene of sublime destruction, like a modern-day Pompeii.
It was further downriver that Turner would push his artistic imagination to new heights and create his most iconic masterpiece. In Turner's lifetime, the introduction of steam, and particularly steam travel, was changing the lives of everybody in Britain. And Turner was particularly interested in steam travel on rivers and in the sea, and of course, particularly on the Thames.
He explores this in his most famous painting, the Fighting Temeraire. The Temeraire was a hero ship from the Battle of Trafalgar, but finally the Royal Navy decided it had no further use, and so it was towed up the Thames to be broken up and its parts sold. The Temeraire is a ghostly presence, pale, uninhabited, riding high in the water, while the dark tug spouts flame from its chimney as it pulls the doomed ship along the Thames. We don't know if Turner actually saw the Temeraire being towed up the Thames, but there is no denying the vivid way in which he's imagined the scene and captured it so beautifully.
Turner has also done something radical. He has shifted the position of the sun.
Changing the position of the sun, one that is streaked with the evidence of pollution, it is intended to make us feel a melancholy for the scene we are looking at, intended to make us understand that the Temeraire is coming to the end of its life, that wind is being pushed out of the way by steam. One of the dominant colours in this painting is yellow, a colour that obsessed Turner throughout his life. Here, it seems as though both the sky and the river are on fire as the sun sets. It demonstrates Turner's supreme ability to tell a powerful emotional tale in a single image. Despite the sad message of the Fighting Temeraire, there is evidence that Turner was drawn to the power of steam. In the late 1830s, the Great Western Railway extended to the upper Thames, connecting London to Bristol. The railway symbolised the peak of the Industrial Revolution that unfolded during Turner's lifetime. And Turner depicted this here, showing the conflicting views that people had about new technology.
The focal point of the painting, the most dramatic part of the painting, is the train hurtling across a man-made bridge over the river. The river itself, underneath, placid, quiet, easy to miss, however vitally important to the story that Turner is trying to tell here.
The train's impact is so great on the scene that we have to look extra hard to see the details surrounding it. In the river is a small boat with two fishermen inside. You can see them huddling underneath an umbrella against the rain. On the bank are a group of figures. Are they nymphs dancing like those we've seen before? Or are they a group of modern figures waving as the train goes by? To the far right of the painting is a farmer ploughing a field. Is this intended to show us how fast the Industrial Revolution has become compared to the slow ways of the past? And one of the most elusive elements in the painting is the hair. Difficult to spot at first as it resembles nothing more than a brown smudge, but once seen, it's impossible to unsee. It's one of the last things Turner added, and perhaps can be seen as a way to contrast the speed of the natural world with the speed of the Industrial Revolution. Nature versus man. If we look back at the watercolours Turner painted, where life on the Thames was far more visible and apparent, here it's as if this is fading, a background to the juggernaut of industrial expansion.
In Turner's lifetime, the Thames changed almost beyond all recognition, and Turner chronicles this in his paintings. But he also shows how his feelings about the river that he loved changed over the years.
So we can see how Turner used the River Thames in so many of his paintings to capture the rapid changes of life and the events of 19th century London. The introduction of steam, revolutionary ways to travel, the expansion of London. Turner's obsession with the Thames was to show the life and activities along its banks, which offered great artistic challenges, making him a master of water and light. His love of classical mythology infused his paintings with atmosphere and history. Historical events pushed his techniques into bold new territory, creating some of his most iconic works that we still revere today. Turner and the River Thames are a love story between artist and subject.